Hi, I'm Jane.
Hello.
Introduce yourself, guys.
Why don't you start, Mikey?
Oh, hi, I'm Ivy. I'm Elizabeth.
I'm Chloe. I'm Adi.
I'm Larry.
And I'm Jane.
Okay.
And we're here to do our project!
Yay!
Hey there, Fire Crabs. I'm Mr. Radio Show host. And welcome to an inside scoop on the Divine Isles. Who's calling?
Oh, hello. I'm a person seeking a place to settle. What is this place?
Oh, hello, traveler. This is the Divine Isles. How can I help you? Where are you from?
Gee, Mr. Radio Host, it seems like a pretty divine place to live. Can you tell me more about this place so I can let my mom know whether or not I found a place to live? Because I'm from America and my mom asked me to find a good place to live because we kind of want to escape the dump Trump, you know?
I feel you, honey. All right, friend. Well, let's see. The Divine Isles is a speculated utopia. From the voting system to the music, you will love it.
Oh, how's the government like, Mr. Radio Host?
Well, let's consult our lawmakers.
Our government is a representative democracy.
Woo!
That means everybody gets to vote for leaders who in turn make laws regarding the country. This ensures that leaders are responsible and listen to the populace.
Did you know that at the inception of our young country, after a brutal civil war, our newly elected leaders wanted to make a strong direct democracy where everybody gets to vote for policy they wanted directly.
But our leaders got their things together and realized that if everybody was busy voting all the time, no one would have time to work or pay taxes. So instead, they decided to go with representative democracy instead.
So now every June, all the citizens of this great country come together and vote for people like us, lawmakers who create policy amongst other important things. This contrasts the ancient Athenian democracy, where all the citizens got together to vote on issues such as leaders and economic decisions. In Athens, citizens only consisted of land-owning free males. However, in the Divine Isles, all people born in this country or naturalized and over the age of 21 are able to vote for lawmakers.
There are three super important parts of our elections. The first is that every citizen, whether naturalized or born, is automatically a registered voter when he or she turns 21. Once you are automatically registered, your right to vote cannot be taken away, even if you commit a felony or another dangerous crime against the country or her citizens.
Our founders came up with the system because they realized if people couldn't vote or didn't have an incentive to vote, people would be less likely to actually come and support democracy. Furthermore, the concept that the right to vote cannot be taken away, even if the holder of that right commits a crime, is important because it prevents a repetition of Stalin's purges in the USSR or the United Socialist Soviet Republics. Such purges were based on lists of people deemed to have committed crimes against the Soviet state and were jailed for little reason. In the Divine Isles, politicians can't incarcerate citizens just to sway the voting ballots.
Voting here is mandatory for everybody, but if someone doesn't like a candidate or a proposal, they can state on the voting form that they do not have a preference. We use electronic voting booths that have an open source code. The code is accessible to anybody to ensure that voting is not rigged.
Another super important part of our government is checks and balances. Our founders realized that if one branch of government has way too much power, the government would turn into a dictatorship, and that would suck for a lot of people. We have three main branches of government: the judiciary, the council of legislators, and the consul. One example of a failed attempt at balancing power was the Estates General in France. The first and second estates, or branches, consisted of the nobles and the clergy, who held large chunks of France's land and wealth. But they represented a little minority of the population. The third estate represented the majority of the people. But each estate had only one vote, and a majority was needed to consent with the king. The first and second estates would often override the third estate. But in our government, each branch is responsible for approving certain actions by other branches, which we will take a closer look at.
Each of these branches of government has an equally important role and can exert checks and balances on each other branch of government.
Let's start with the most important branch, the Council of Legislators. Each legislator serves a 2-year term and is elected by the people. If they miss more than 70% of the voting days, then they're not eligible to run for office until the next election cycle. This is to ensure that they do not spend all of their time campaigning for an office. Their check on the consul is the ability to overturn vetoes and to impeach the consul if he commits any crimes while he's in office. Their check on the judiciary is that they must approve of all nominees to the court. This is important to make sure that no one abuses their power. They are kept in check by the consul and the judiciary branch. Our council of legislators is tripartisan and includes the Senate, which consists of one representative from each province, and also the House, in which each state's number of representatives is determined by its population. The third part of the Council of Legislators consists of labor union representatives, which is determined by the number of members in each union. This three-party system prevents government shutdowns where a two-part legislative body fails to cooperate.
The consul's job is to run the country, collect taxes, print money, set foreign policy, and lead the military and police forces. This is a pretty important job that's evolved over the time that the country started. When the founders first made this country, the consul had almost no power because the founders were afraid he might become a dictator. But through amendments to our constitution and changes needed to succeed, the consul has gained much more power over time. His main power comes from his ability to suggest bills to the legislators. He keeps the legislators in check by being able to veto any bill that gets passed to the consul. He also makes nominations to the courts, even though these nominees must be pre-approved by the council before being able to take a seat on the courts. In order to declare war on any other nation, he must get approval from the council, but he can activate troops for up to 90 days without the consent of the council. This does not apply if the troops are on strictly humanitarian missions, such as delivering aid to other countries. He may not deploy any troops on any citizen without the express approval of the council, whether abroad or at home. He oversees the police forces of the country and has the ultimate say on police activity. He sets the rules and regulations on the police and determines whether police actions were illegal or not. Any police officer involved in killing will be thoroughly investigated by the Department of Justice.
The judiciary consists of 11 judges called newts. These people have the power to interpret laws created by the Council of Legislators in cases where the meaning of laws has been disputed. The judiciary also has the power to stop a proposed law written by the Council of Legislators, which has gained the approval of the Consul. There must be a majority of 6 justices in order to kill a bill. This prevents certain presidents, if their party has control of the Council, from appointing justices to help pass laws which would otherwise be detriments to the populace. If killing a bill required a unanimous vote, it would be too easy for the Council and President to consolidate their power through abusive laws. The newts are nominated by the President and must be approved by 3/4 of the Council of Legislators. Because newts serve for life, it is hard for other members of the government to sway their decisions through threats or impeachment. Furthermore, due to the long term of service, there must be a high amount of legislators who approve the nominee.
The third most important part of our election system is the removal of any outside money in politics. This constitution expressly allows gifts and or donations of over $5,000 during a year. Any elected member of the government may not receive any free or reduced admission or tickets where anybody else would have to pay higher amounts of money. The laws outright bans super PACs or any PACs because of 2 main reasons. The first is to reduce the amount of money needed to run for office.
The founders realized that if people were allowed to donate unlimited amounts of money to a single candidate, the price of running an effective campaign would skyrocket and make it harder to run for office.
The other main reason that the founders wanted to avoid people being indebted to outside interests. The founders wanted to make sure legislators and consuls' only duty was to their constituents and not outside forces like industries wanting to make an impact on the government. If an industry or a company feels a law will negatively affect them, the company can take up their claim with a judicial review board that can overturn or change laws that expressly harm a group. Thank you.
See ya.
Oh, it sounds like an efficient system.
Oh yes, it's quite divine.
But where I'm from, we need to pay to use all public and private restrooms. How does this place manage their economy?
Well, let's go consult our finance workers.
Oh, hello. We lead the finance and economy of the Divine Isles. We are here to organize and calculate the finances of the government and all the citizens of the Divine Isles.
Yes, in our country, rather than tax income, we found it much better and equal to tax people based on their net worth. That This causes wealth to be spread out more evenly. This was done due to the outbreak of the Civil War, where the poor rose up against the rich in a bid for equality.
Also, our country is a major trade partner with countries all around the world, as our islands have an unnaturally abundant amount of natural resources of all kinds, including rare materials and minerals. Thus, we use these materials to trade with other nations.
Yes, in addition to a trade-based economy, our banking sector has been rated low in corruption due to extremely harsh regulations and regular audits for federal bank workers. Our banking sector is noted as one of the most heavily invested banks in the world. This is mostly due to the heavily secured banking servers and the fact that foreign and domestic investors are under the same regulations, thus simplifying and increasing profitable investments that can or would be made.
Oh, by the way, how do you think of the Divine Isles so far? As you can hear, there are diversity of people here.
It has been a pretty cool conversation.
Well, yes, the Divine Isle receives many calls from potential tourists or immigrants.
Well, we all love wine, right? Duh. Our wine industry boasts some of the most well-refined red wines made in the mass quantities. In fact, we produce and export some 55 million liters of red wine, which bests the U.S. refining of all the liquid gold.
So does that mean that it's really easy to get drunk here?
Oh, it's easier than getting drunk in Soviet Russia. Our wine is known as some of the strongest wines that is ever exported.
Our country also has a large and supposedly ruthless taxation on alcohol and tobacco products purchased domestically. This is done to encourage and improve productivity in the nation's workforce.
That's a bit odd now. I can earn more money by selling wine than I do working and buying wine.
Our country also leads among top nations in our low employment rates nationwide, with some regions as low as 2.37%. This phenomenon is due to our country's special financial aid system. This system gives financial aid to those who have been unable to support themselves or their family and come under the easily met conditions needed to be given this aid.
Our domestic growth of local businesses are also on the rise due to the ease of creating domestic businesses in our country. These regulations are, however, reserved for citizens of the Divine Isles only. This is made to protect domestic businesses from different countries from franchising and shutting down local businesses.
Also, if you don't like the idea of working in our country, you might change your mind when you find out that the government regulates the wages of all workers. This is done by inputting a large minimum wage of 20 kois an hour. This means that everyone will have the same base income to worry about the issue of companies taking advantage of their workers.
For your information, the conversion of rate to koi is 1 koi is equal to 30 euros, and 30 euros is 33 US dollars. Do the math, and 20 kois is around 600 euros, and that means that 600 euros would be $659 USD. And note that you can earn this amount by the hour. The common money used for our country is actually euros due to the mass amount that is put into due to tourism.
That sounds pretty bueno for my wallet.
Oh yes, you will find your bank account in quite a happy position.
Oh yes. Hey, my family might like this place, but I'm worried that they'll have trouble adapting to the customs around here. What are they like?
Oh, well, let's come see.
Hi, I'm a local resident and I've lived in the Divine Isles all my life. Our culture here is based heavily upon diversity but also unity. By celebrating people's diversity, we exclude and disrespect little to no people, meaning less protest, less vandalism, and less emigration. Here's an example of our music. It involves multiple parts so everyone's included and it brings people together just like this. Sorry. Also, it blends multiple languages if there are lyrics. Doesn't that sound beautiful?
Oh, it sure does.
Also, every month we hold a fair to celebrate local ideas and innovations regarding creative progression. We encourage creativity as much as possible, unless it gets out of hand, of course.
radio. But is there a specific way my family should behave here?
Your only job in your family is to respect them. If we were to utilize a stricter system, the youth of the family might rebel at a young age and not optimize their potential through the family's guidance.
However, a family with no structure can cause the youth to grow up recklessly and carelessly without a sense of native respect for the functioning adult world. Our suggested structure is a healthy balance between the two and open to the interpretation of the individual.
Doesn't matter if your family is nuclear, non-biological, or only two people, you have to respect the members of your family, or else they will leave you on the streets, where you'll be kept in one of our welfare groups, where you will be provided housing, meals, and resources.
But that's only if you're homeless and you have valid reasons to say you're homeless.
I'm not, I hope. Do I need to learn any specific languages to communicate here, or follow any certain religion?
Nope, and there are no specifications of existing languages or religions. However, if a person you are communicating with speaks in a language you have no clue about, many of the social workers, like us, can provide translation, as they were taught a range of languages in their required training.
This gives a wider range of communication without the exclusion of having a main language. But if you speak a language you invented, sorry, you should learn another before teaching others how to speak it.
And if your preferred religion has restrictions that could possibly be disrespectful to a group of people, then please refrain from performing to such extremities. If you don't feel that's possible, feel free to take it to the court and be reasonably managed by our justice system.
To cater to most people's needs, we have versions of different languages in literature, books, magazines, and comics. But printing it's a lot of money, so translation to less common languages need to be accessed online. This way, the learning curve does not steer away from a certain linguistic background.
Oh, hold up, bros. I have a pretty sick Instagram. How should I keep up with social media here? What do people like?
Oh, people like anything. If there's something you feel you should share, then share it. There are no specific trends or style to follow, because in the Divine Isles, style is not something you follow, but something you cultivate.
A successful community is a progressive one. And the more our culture moves around, the more it improves.
The immigrants are recommended to provide their preferred language and religious restrictions so we can minimize disrespecting them and their beliefs. Because we certainly care about you!
Well, hot dang, Mr. Radio Show host. Sounds like a pretty great place. I think I'll call my family over. One more question. Who are you?
Well, Mr. Caller, I'm you from the future. Well, you live in the Divine Isles.
Okay, is there anything else you left out?
Oh yes, I forgot to tell you about how important food culture is in the Divine Isles. Let me tell you, food is the source that feeds the soul of the people, and you can taste the amount of effort that people put in to make it. Well, in the Divine Isles, we have every first Saturday of the month, we cook and present and share our food to everyone else who lives here. What's important is that we learn from each other what each ingredient means and what the dish is made for. And you'll get to meet a whole lot of different people with different cultures too. Isn't it interesting to know? Oh, and guess what?
What is it?
Tomorrow, Saturday, and our food culture event will be held in Town Hall. Make sure you bring your food and share it with everybody else. Lots of different kinds of food will be there. You don't want to miss it. See you there.
Wait. Oh my god.
Oh boy, this country just gets me so excited.